Hello everyone, welcome back to The Budget Sportsman. Today is October the 7th. It's the second day of Pennsylvania archery season. If you haven't already seen it, go check out my last video, which was my hunt with Nate from Average Jack Archery on the very first day of the season. He was the hunter, I was the guy behind the camera, and I think you're really going to enjoy that video. We had a great day out in the woods. Today was supposed to be kind of my big first day to hunt on my own. Unfortunately, it's raining all day, but let me tell you a little bit about what my plan is, and then I'll tell you about what's forecasted and what I hope will work out for me. There's a couple private soybean fields that I've been seeing a lot of deer in, both after dark in the spotlight as well as before dark. The last 2 nights, there have been multiple bucks, legal bucks here in Pennsylvania. We have to have 3 points on one side. There have been multiple legal bucks out in those soybean fields well before dark. Both of those soybean fields are bordered by public. But everybody sees those bucks. Everybody knows they're there. So I'm pretty sure in the next couple of days they're going to be getting some pressure. However, today has been raining, so I'm hoping that will keep a lot of hunters inside and give me an opportunity to slip in and get one of the first chances at some of these deer. The wind for the one particular field is perfect. We've got a wind coming out of the north-northwest. It should be perfect. I'll be accessing from the south, wind in my face coming into the area, and should be able to catch those deer coming from their bedding area out into the soybean fields. The forecast is saying it's scheduled to end raining around 4:15. So I'm thinking if I can slip in as soon as that rain ends, I'm thinking the deer are going to get up off their feet. It's overcast. They're going to try to get out into that field early. They've been out there by 6:30 the last couple of nights. Hopefully I can slip in there and find a good spot. Now, probably the next time that you see me, I'll be sitting out in the woods if this rain lets up and all goes according to plan. So, wish me luck.
Okay guys, well, I kind of have a little change of plans here. The weather report has changed and it does not look like the rain is going to clear up until about 8 o'clock. So I debated and debated and debated. I am not one to normally hunt in rain for a couple of reasons. One is, to me, hunting's supposed to be fun, and getting soaked in rain is not really my definition of fun. But the second reason is, especially with archery equipment, if you don't make a great shot, it can be really hard to track a blood trail. So I usually don't do it, but I debated and debated and debated and finally decided it's the only night in the entire week that we're going to have the right wind to hunt this spot. The rain is slowing down, but the other factor is these beans that I'm going to be hunting near are going to turn yellow soon and the deer are going to stop coming out to them. So I think this might be my only chance. It's not raining too hard right now. I'm going to bring the 2 GoPros along, try to film my hunt from those. It may not be the best footage. We'll see if anything even happens. If the rain does let up, I do have my big camera. I'll try to get it set up for y'all. The skies seem like they're clearing a little bit, so anyways, I've got a good half-mile walk here, maybe a little bit more, to get into the spot I'm trying to go. So I'm going to put the camera away and make my way in there.
There's no question the deer are in here. This is a lot thicker than I remembered. And I've already bumped a doe and a spike. I really wanted to get up here another 100 yards, and I think I'll still try to do that. I'm just worried I might bump a good deer. It's still raining. My pants are soaked from walking through all this tall grass. Wish I would have thought to wear my waders. At least it's not too cold so I won't freeze, but it's not going to be real comfortable sit. Well guys, the last time I was up here was probably winter time, and I did not remember how high all of this brush is. This is really open, but I mean a deer would slip right through that and you would never get a shot. There's no trees. There's no trees for any kind of a stand. if I get a shot, it's going to be at probably 15, 20 yards max. There's all kinds of little saplings. But I'm sitting literally on a couple of trails here. This trail's running beside me, trail's running behind me, trail's running in front of me. For all I know, deer could come from behind me and come up. Right here's the corner of this soybean field. They might come in right off that corner. I really expect them to come in through here, at least some of them. It's just going to be a matter of if they come close enough to me to even see them, let's just get a shot. And if it's any of the bucks that I want to shoot. So, anyways, I know I've been rambling a lot on this. I'm going to put this camera away and get ready to hunt.
Well, guys, at this point, the footage from the rest of the night is just not great. A lot of guys ask me if they can use a GoPro to film a hunt, and yes, you can, but just be prepared. You're not going to really get amazing footage from your hunt. But I really want to tell you about what happened on this hunt because I think it's very important. About 6 o'clock, I was sitting there, and a doe popped out, probably around 30 yards away. No chance of a shot. It is just way too brushy. But as soon as she popped out, it was like, boom, she had just picked me off. You know, I was camo, face mask, gloves, the whole 9 yards. But she just picked me off right away. And so she looked at me a while and stared back and forth, and finally she turned and went back into the area where she had come from. And I started thinking about that. I thought, you know what? There's no way I can shoot a deer at 30 yards and she picked me off. How am I ever going to draw or get a shot at a deer at 15 to 20 yards, which is how close they're going to have to be for me to be able to get a shot through this brush? And I started getting kind of frustrated, and I was already getting kind of fidgety. I'm normally a fidgety person anyways in the stand, but when you're 20 feet up in the tree, you can get away with a little bit of that. When you're on the ground, not so much. So I had probably 45 minutes of daylight left, and I decided I was just going to stand up and make a little bit of a move to a new position since I just figured where I was just was not going to work out. There's no point in staying there. Well, as I stood up and turned around, I realized that behind me, there was a spike coming out of the pine row. Now, spikes are not legal in Pennsylvania. And what happened next is a total blur. Because over the next 30 minutes, I was in the middle of a bachelor group of bucks like I have never seen before. I honestly don't know how many, because it seemed like they were moving this way and moving that way, and I couldn't tell which ones were the same ones. But I'd say probably 6 to 8 bucks. Once I realized that there was more than just the spike and there was a legal buck, I crouched down behind the grass, and the grass is probably, you know, not quite waist high, but more than knee high. So if I got down on my hands and knees, I was pretty well hidden. And I mean, I'm crawling through the mud and the muck, and I'm trying to get up to this pine tree where I knew if I could get to that pine tree, on the other side of it is where they seemed like they were coming through, and I could get a shot. Well, unfortunately, it was like, again, everything in my mind is a blur of how everything happened. But at one point, a buck circled to my left and probably was just over 30 yards. He went behind a pine tree. I stood, I drew, waited for him to come out, thinking I might have a shot. No shot. He actually didn't come out that side. It was almost like he turned and came back again. And, you know, all of a sudden he was over back where he was originally. At another point, I'm belly crawling up, and I realize these deer are starting to come across. And one deer is coming, and he's not looking at me. So I stand up and I draw again, and he pops out of the brush at probably about 35 yards. Remember, it's drizzling, it's gray, it's getting close to that last light time. He pops out about 35 yards, and he turns toward me, and he's looking at me. You know, he sees me. And I'm drawn, I have my pin on him, and I'm thinking about taking that shot. And through all the dimness of the light, I realize, you know, he's quartered to me really hard. Not only was he quartered to me hard, he was looking at me, so he was alert. And I didn't know the exact yardage. I normally don't take shots really over 30 yards at deer. You know, I felt like I had a clear shot, but I didn't know the exact yardage. You know, if I would have known that he was at 30 yards, or if he was at 32 yards, you know, maybe. But then again, he was quartered to me, so I just wasn't confident. Again, keeping in mind that it's raining, and I really wanted a slam dunk shot. I didn't want any kind of a shot that was going to be questionable, because there just wasn't going to be a whole lot of good tracking with the ground being so wet. So, long story short, I didn't get a shot at any of those bucks. I did eventually end up spooking a couple of them, and they ran on back. The group seemed to split up. Some went toward the food source. I think they got through before I spooked the last couple, and the last couple went back up into bedding. If you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a while, I hope that you know that this quality of video of this particular video is not quite what I normally would like it to be. I normally like to put out a higher quality video, and so I really considered not even posting this video. You know, hunting on the ground in the rain with a GoPro on my head, it just didn't turn out that good. But there's a reason why I decided to post it, and that's because I really feel like this hunt is key to probably how my season is going to play out over the next couple weeks. Will I get one of those bucks? I have no idea. But I definitely have a better game plan now that I know where they're coming out of bedding and how they're getting into the food source, and maybe can make a better setup next time to get a better opportunity at one of those bucks. Will that happen? I don't know, but I wanted to post this just so that you had context of what my plan is going into the future. So I really appreciate you watching, even though the quality wasn't all the way up to where I normally would like it to be. Until the next video, I hope that you'll stay tuned. I hope that you'll remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.